Jinwoo Sung is the weakest of all the hunters, holding E rank, and is looked down upon by everyone for being an ugly loser. However, after his party discovers a hidden dungeon, he decides to use it as a chance to change his life for the better. The hunters of the Jeju Island raiding squad gather at the forest, ready to eliminate the pesky red ants. However, things quickly spiral out of control as the ants turn out to be tougher than expected, picking off hunters one by one like they were on a picnic menu. However, their mission spirals into chaos as the ants overpower them, leaving a trail of fallen comrades. Just as hope fades, Yoon Seok, Min Byung-gyu, and Baek Yono, the squad leaders, intervene, turning the tide momentarily. But they are soon busted by a colossal white ant, which challenges Yono. Yono swiftly fights off the creature, only to find himself surrounded by more of its kind alongside Yoon Seok. Meanwhile, in a nearby city, Choi Jong-in watches the forest fiasco unfold and decides to spice things up with his fire attack. Over at a construction site, the notorious weakest hunter, Sung Jin-woo, decides to share his misfortune with his companions by joining them. He sits down and chats for a brief moment with a friend of his, Lee Jo-hee, regardless of the risks of continuing to work as a hunter due to his lack of hunter abilities. Son Cheol, the team leader, soon gathers the rest of the team together as he introduces himself before entering the gate of the dungeon. Gaining confidence, Sung Jin-woo is the last to enter the portal. Meanwhile, the Korean Association chairman, Go Gun-hee, talks about the value of mana stones to his assistant, Woo Chin-chul, while Jin-woo finds himself in a tight spot against a machete-wielding goblin. But as bad as his honor abilities are, he only gets deeply injured. However, the team manages to defeat the dungeon boss and celebrate while Jin-woo watches as he recovers. At the guild building, Yo Jin-oh enters a mysterious room with some fancy-looking machine. In the city streets, two thieves learn a valuable lesson. Don't mess with S-rank hunter Cha Hain. She's not just a hero, she's a bag-retrieving ninja, leaping across rooftops to return stolen goods like it's a game of catch. Back to Jin-woo and his crew. They stumble upon a mysterious tunnel that leads to a giant door. 40 minutes of walking later, they find themselves in a room straight out of a fantasy novel, complete with ancient statues and cryptic instructions. Jo-hee swears she has seen one of the statues giving them the stink eye, but Jin-woo brushes it off. As if things couldn't get any worse, the door slams shut, and one of the team members angrily walks towards it, cursing the group for taking a stupid risk. Just then, one of the statues charges at him and slashes his head away, while the group stares in horror. Jin-woo then looks back at the giant statue that Jo-hee had told him about and watches its eyes suddenly glow and stare right into his soul. Just as Jin-woo tells everyone to get down, the statue attacks the group, as if triggered by something, and the team finds itself trapped amidst danger. Chi-yul warns everyone to remain still as the statue is triggered by movements as well, while Jin-woo tries to calm down a traumatized Jo-hee before he notices that Chi-yul has lost his arm and helps him stop the bleeding. Chi-yul says that the statue is around S-rank, determined from his past experiences as a hunter. Meanwhile, Jinwoo's sister, Sun-jina, is asked if her brother is a hunter, and she replies that he is only an E-rank hunter. Back in the dungeon, Jinwoo and Chi-yul try to figure out what to do, while another annoyed member tries to flee the dungeon using his speed, but gets turned into nothing within the blink of an eye. Jinwoo asks Chi-yul about the commandments of the temple, which are to revere God, praise God, and prove your faith to God. And Jinwoo realizes that God means the giant statue, and comes up with an idea to get out of the dungeon. He stands up and bows his head just before the statue is about to blast him, and tells his team to do the same, as the statue won't attack as long as they follow the commandments. Despite not understanding Jinwoo's dumb idea, the group does as told, and the statue's expression changes to a freaky grin. Just as the group feels that they're out of danger, the statue stands up from the throne and the group panics. But Chi-yul comes forward and kneels in front of the statue, saying some extollments he had studied, but ends up getting crushed under the statue's foot like a bug, as those words won't work on it. The teammates run for their lives as the statue advances, crushing everyone that comes in its way. Jinwoo thinks about what could possibly be praised about the psychopathic statue, but realizes that there are a few statues with musical instruments instead of weapons. He tells everyone to run to those before getting nearly crushed by the giant statue, and as soon as the giant statue hears the music, it sits back down. Jo-hee later tries to heal Jinwoo's severed leg, while Kim Sang-sik blames Chin-yul for getting the team in danger, and losing his arm was just karma. Jinwoo realizes there is one more commandment left just before an altar appears, and he tells the group that they now have to offer a sacrifice to God. Kim Sang-sik tells Chin-yul to take responsibility for getting them all into trouble, and he walks over to the altar, activating a flame. Jinwoo asks his friends to help him examine the altar, which activates more flames, and he tells everyone to stand around the altar. The group does and tells, and once the altar is fully lit, one of the doors opens, which surprises and scares them at the same time. Jinwoo instructs them not to leave and keep looking at the statues that are approaching them, but two of the comrades run away out of fear. Jinwoo tells the remaining to not move until the blue flames go out, as they are a timer. Kim says that he hadn't expected the weakest member of the group to pull off as much as he has, and cries about his family as he sees the deadly statues around them and runs away. Chin-yul tells all of them to leave as the door will remain open even if one of them stays back. But Jo-hee's legs give out, and Jinwoo tells Chi-yul to take her and leave. After he is left alone, Jinwoo regrets not getting enrolled for a life insurance package. The statues start attacking him and he loses one arm, later thinking about Kim's superficial gratitude and selfishness, and saying that if he had one more chance, he would have done better. Jinwoo wakes up in the hospital and finds himself miraculously healed, with all of his limbs intact. Moments later, the manager of the Hunters Association surveillance team, Woo Jin-chul, enters the room. He is later informed that Chi-yul will be retiring as a hunter as he lost an arm, while Jo-hee is under psychiatric care as he was traumatized, and he was found by the White Tigers Guild while there were no traces of the Temple of Other Survivors. And Jin-chul asks him if he had experienced a second awakening, which helps a hunter increase his abilities to higher ranks. Jin-chul is sure that Jinwoo had a second awakening, but the manometer shows him to be a weak E-rank hunter, and Jinwoo's hopes go back down, while Jin-chul is also surprised how the weak Jinwoo managed to survive the deadly dungeon. Jinwoo is later scolded by his sister, Jina, who tells him to remain careful or else she will have to quit school and find a job. Jinwoo asks her if she can see the screen in front of him, later asking how to read notifications in video games, which makes Jina annoyed, and she asks him if the doctors should examine his brain too. And she tells him that the notifications appear in the message box. Jinwoo later learns how to use the screen and finds a portal of daily quests. However, as lazy as he is, he lays back in bed, saying that he has no stamina to complete the tasks. Meanwhile, Choi tells Hyein that he wants her to lead the next B-rank raid. Later during the night, a gate appears in the middle of a busy road, and the citizens wait for the hunters to show up. Jinwoo is fast asleep in the hospital and is woken up to finish his quest. He finds himself in a desert while a huge ugly monster hovers over him, and his goal is to survive for 3 hours. However, he manages to complete the quest despite his clumsiness, and the nurses find him worn out in one of the rooms. His sister later demands him to treat her for all of the trouble he has caused. After learning that Jinwoo has recovered, Jo-hee decides to visit him but finds him running around in the hospital grounds, completing his quests. However, other people look at him like he's crazy as he talks to himself and makes strange signs in the air, using the screens that only he can see. With his determination spiraling, he sets off on the next quest, entering a dungeon. He later finds himself in a combat against vicious goblins, with all of his confidence already wearing off. However, he manages to defeat them just before a deadly wolf appears, and his legs begin to shake out of fear, as he realizes that he has no second chances. Jinwoo discovers a newfound ability and strength within himself, which enables him to dodge the wolf's vicious attacks, surprising him. Jinwoo strikes back at the beast, delivering powerful blows that send the wolf reeling. Jinwoo also finds out that he now has access to his inventory, a feature granted by the system, and retrieves a sword left behind by Kim. He slices the wolf with the sword, confidence building up with him after being a loser all his life. But his celebration is interrupted by two more wolves emerging from the darkness. However, Jinwoo doesn't wet his pants this time and faces the beast, skillfully wielding his sword and driving back the wolves. Jinwoo keeps advancing with determination to overcome any challenge. He keeps making his way through maze-like corridors of the dungeon and is continuously attacked by the steel-fanged wolves, which seem to be respawning every second. Meanwhile, Jo-hee feels guilty over rejecting the request of the Hunters Association and makes the dumb decision to join the mission, determined to prove herself and fix her past mistakes. Back inside the dungeon, Jinwoo confronts the dungeon's boss, the blue venom-fanged Kazaka, and realizes that his little sword and weak fists are no match against the creature. After nearly getting killed by the creature and crying over his weakness, Jinwoo pulls himself together and attacks it, killing it with the fatal blow of his broken sword, and wins a weapon made of the snake's fang. The dungeon fades away and Jinwoo walks out, only to find his pathetic self in another unwanted situation. He finds a towering blue golem wreaking havoc upon the city streets. However, Jinwoo jumps in to help the scared civilians, as if he was born a superhero, and shatters the golem's defenses with a single blow of his sword with surprising strength, while the other hunters look at him in confusion and disbelief, as he is the weakest of all hunters. So that's it, my fellow men of culture. Comment down OP below if you like this anime, and subscribe to the channel so we can continue making more plot-filled recaps.